Hi students, welcome to week 3. This week you will be working on one primary assignment, and that assignment has 3 separate components which are each turned in for points. So in this video I'm going to talk about what is expected from you, as well as cover some of the most common pitfalls that students run into when completing this assignment that could potentially cause you to lose points. So please pay close attention. So your main assignment this week is to complete an interview utilizing SBIRT motivational interviewing, brief negotiated intervention, and also showcasing your use of one of the 2 screening tools, either the audit or the DAST. So if you have looked under your role play assignment, you will notice that you are given 3 separate vignettes to choose from. You may utilize any one of those 3 vignettes. Go ahead and read through all 3 of them or just pick one at random. And essentially the vignette will give you a couple of paragraphs worth of information about the individual that you're interviewing. You are asked for this assignment to utilize your volunteer family and one of the members of your volunteer family. And I'm going to tell you the reason why you're asked to do that. You're asked to do that primarily to give you an opportunity to get used to working with your family and getting used to being on camera and potentially getting your family used to being recorded or being on camera. So I know for some of you, and I heard it mentioned in videos, and I could even reflect this myself, some of us are not super comfortable being on camera. It's not one of my favorite things to do personally, and so I understand that challenge quite a bit and I can empathize with it. And in addition to that, some of our families that we work with maybe aren't super comfortable with the idea of being on camera as well. And so this gives you a good opportunity to practice your on-camera skills. It also gives your family member a good opportunity to get comfortable working with you and potentially being on camera or at least being recorded. You are not required to show your family member on camera, so should you be working with a family who says, we'll do the project with you and be your volunteer family, but we don't want our faces shown, that's totally okay. Make sure you set up your camera somewhere where we can still see you and where we can see your body language as you react to the volunteer that you're working with. So if I had a volunteer who didn't want to be on camera, what I might do is sit them on that side of my camera so you can see me, a little bit more of my body if I was doing an interview, so you could see my body language. And then you can't necessarily see my family, so you're protecting their identity and their privacy should they ask to have that protected. But you can definitely view the interaction that would occur. If my family member was sitting right back here on this back side of the camera, you would still be able to view everything that I'm doing and saying, and so that would be a useful way to do that. Some of you may use Skype or other technology such as that, in which case your family member may be shown on a little screen or maybe a split screen, or perhaps your family member will choose to sit where they can't be seen on camera. Just be sure that we can hear them clearly. One of the biggest pitfalls that people run into with this assignment is videotaping in a noisy place or in a place with a television on in the background or dogs barking, or perhaps your volunteer is hard to hear because they're too far away from the camera. So please be sure when you videotape this that we can hear your volunteer and we can hear you. I don't care if I can see your volunteer, but I do need to be able to see you and to hear both of you. So that's an important aspect to remember. So this does give you an opportunity to get used to working on camera with your family member before you do a bigger project with them at the end of the course. If you have a family member who absolutely refuses to do the role play with you, I am okay if you utilize somebody else to do this, because it is just a role play. It's not about your volunteer family, and they're being asked to role play a scenario about somebody that's not them. So you can utilize somebody else for this project, but I do strongly encourage you to try to work with somebody in your volunteer family, particularly if you haven't done this with them before, so that you both get that practice and develop some comfort level and rapport before you get deeper into the projects of this course. So this video will be about 8 to 10 minutes, and I do need to make sure that you take a look at the rubric for the assignment, as well as the requirements that are listed under the assignment for week 3. Those are pretty important because everything that is asked for in the assignment is part of your grade. And one helpful hint is actually another part of this assignment that's due is your peer observations. And your peer observations for this assignment are not video responses. They're actually written observations that you're asked to submit for 2 of your peers. So my advice to you would be to remember that your peers will be grading you using that rubric. So you may want to take a look at that rubric, print it out, and make sure that you are meeting all the requirements listed on that rubric when you're doing your own video, because that's exactly what you get graded on for your video, just as you are giving feedback to your peers on all of those areas that are listed. So that's my big piece of advice probably. Take a good look at that and make sure that, you know what is included in the grade and you can appropriately include all of those components in your video. Again, your video is about 8 to 10 minutes, so it's not a 30-minute video, and it's not a 2-minute video. You need to make sure to include all of the elements. I do recognize that at least one of the role plays does not specify that you need to do one of the screenings or gives you a screening score already. Go ahead and do the screening anyhow, because you'll notice when you look at the grading rubric that the actual audit or DAS screening is required in this video. So if you don't utilize the audit or DAS, you're going to miss some points because you won't show yourself using it. It'll be difficult to show yourself summarizing what the score is. It will be difficult for you to talk about, what that score means and the use of alcohol or drugs according to the individual's age and sex. And so it's really important to make sure that you include that. So if you're not sure if you're supposed to include the screening, I'm here to tell you, include the screening because it's part of your points. So when you do the video, just make sure you cover all those components. Again, you should have a volunteer family that has already signed off on a consent form, but if they're not willing to do it, you may use another volunteer if you choose to. And yes, I would prefer that you have your volunteer go by the name of the individual that's in the role play scenario as you're given, because then your peers will know exactly who it is that you're interviewing. Should your volunteer say, I don't really feel comfortable going by the name Carlos or Maria, go ahead and let them use whatever name they prefer, but you'll need to state in the beginning of the video, we're working on the role play for Maria or for Carlos, and then go ahead and roll right into your interview. So hopefully that covers that enough for you. You're then required also to submit a self-reflection on the process, and your self-reflection does need to be a paper. It doesn't have to be in first person because it's a reflection, so you can go ahead and not write in first person for this, or I'm sorry, you can write in first person for this one if you would like to. That is totally acceptable, even though it should be APA format. So if you include any resources or references, be sure you include a reference page with it. But again, first person is okay for your reflection. Make sure you do that portion because it is part of your grade that you have a submitted reflection paper. In addition to that, you are asked to do 2 peer reviews, which I already sort of touched on. You can find the peer review worksheet under week 3, and you'll go ahead and print that out and fill out the responses. Please note that part of your grade for that is not only that you fill out the scores, but that you encircle the yeses and nos and those things, but also that you provide some feedback and comments. Your feedback and comments, as well as my own feedback and comments, will be given to your classmates. So they won't necessarily know who reviewed them because I don't share the actual form, but your comments will be integrated into my comments when I grade the assignment and give them feedback. So please make sure you try and leave some meaningful comments on those forms as well. So hopefully I've kind of covered the assignments thoroughly enough for you to understand what is expected of you. If you have questions, please feel free to message me. I did also want to note, please double check your grades for your week 1 introduction videos. I had at least one student reach out to me and let me know that they had responded to a student and I had not seen it. And the reason for that is the student has left the course, and so I can no longer see their video, nor can I see the peer responses to it. So if you're missing something, please get in touch with me as soon as possible. Shoot me an email through Engage and I will get back to you and take a look at it as quickly as I can. I think that's it for this week. I'm looking forward to grading your week 2 assignments and taking a look at them, and wish you all luck as you do your week 3 assignments. Have a great week.